Hello and welcome to another Board of Education meeting recap, this time for the month of November 2021. Thank you for joining us. I'm J.D. Harden, your host, joined by my co-host, Superintendent Mary Elizabeth Davis.
Hey J.D., and thank you for joining us again this month.
As always, we are so glad that you tuned in and are interested in hearing all of the action that our board took during their regularly scheduled meetings. And as always, we have three main topics that we will review as a part of this recap. One would be a discussion around our strategic plan, as well as the core business of teaching and learning, student learning, and then finally our operational business and effectiveness. So let's get things started by hearing a little bit from Superintendent Davis during her welcome at this month's board meeting.
On the horizon is the opportunity to celebrate our country's most extraordinary veterans, as Veterans Day is on the horizon. Take a look at that image. Of course, we have on our Board of Education Mr. McDaniel, a veteran of our armed forces, and so we celebrate you, Mr. McDaniel. And we celebrate all of our professionals who work in our school system who join you as veterans of our great armed forces. And so thank you to those of you who serve students today and served our great country as well.
So let's kick things off first by discussing the strategic plan discussion, or really what we're centered on right now, which is our strategic plan relaunch. You know, Henry County Schools set off, if you can think back a little over 20 months ago, our board did, to hear the hopes and dreams and aspirations of our community, geared and with the design in mind to develop a community-inspired strategic plan, and they did just that. A lot of momentum was built behind it, but this little thing called a pandemic came along and kind of threw our plans off course, but we've been back on course. We've been working as diligently as possible to really design this strategic plan that we're now so proud to be able to go out and discuss with the community, their plan, and we've been doing just that.
Yeah, that's right. Our community-inspired strategic plan started with conversations in our community. So of course, our relaunch of this strategic plan is a reflection of the many, many voices, actually over 8,000 voices that contributed to the development of that plan. And we are going back to our community in a community engagement season to share the outcomes, the results, and the plan for the next 5 years. So we actually hope to be in a community space near you as we visit our school councils and visit many community organizations. And the Board of Education has already experienced some of the great dialogue that just continues in our community about the next 5 years of schools in Henry County. Let's listen in.
In the weeks to come, we will continue to speak with school councils, as well as begin to reach out to civic organizations, intergovernmental agencies, local business and organizations, and other local boards. We look forward to sharing our strategic plan across the county to organizations such as the Henry County Chamber, the Henry County NAACP, Piedmont Henry Hospital Board, City Council meetings, and the Henry County Development Authority, just to name a few. As I already mentioned, we have started our relaunch community conversations and are indeed eager to share or be able to share the exciting work from the strategic plan with our stakeholders. It surely brings back fond memories when we first started the work back in October 2019. We are serious when we say that our schools are a reflection of the hopes and dreams of the communities we serve.
The excitement has been wonderful. Some of the faces that were there 2 years ago are there today, and to be able to see the excitement in their eyes of the things that are being realized for students is just amazing. So I'm super grateful for our community and this process. And this truly is the voice of our community.
It has been a great experience. I've been able to attend several at this point and just have really had some great questions from our community members and staff who are a part of those calls. And I'm just looking forward to continuing to meet with our stakeholders and just appreciate the opportunity.
The next big discussion item was about the balance of digital and print resources, a very important topic as we provide a high-level, high-quality education for our students. And our Chief Officer for Learning Performance, Ms. Melissa Morse, was able to provide a report to the board around one policy and the accompanying regulation to support that policy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real dialogue was about this need for recalibration in the face of trying to close the chapter of pandemic learning and pandemic experiences. And while we had to rely so heavily on digital learning environments over the past 18 months, we know that there needs to be a real attention to and investment in the things in kids' hands like art supplies and manipulatives and counting bears and robotics and Legos and writing and paper and pencil and pen and dialogue and collaboration in the learning. And so this is really a reflection of our board listening deeply to the community's concern of the overpresence of devices in young people's lives, and how, as a school system, do we really just do our part to recalibrate how that instructional time is designed and make sure that we are making space in our learning spaces for all of those other high-quality instructional strategies. Our Board of Education had a lot of dialogue around this topic, so let's listen.
Powerful information, and I'm so excited regarding the policies IFAAR2 and IFBR, because we all know we live in a tech world, and we're going to continue to move in that era. However, it is important for us to have a balance, as you have said, so that teaching and learning can be more effective.
Over the last several years, I've heard this resounding plea from constituents begging for there to be a balance again. This, again, is the voice of our community. I've heard from teachers, I've heard from parents, I've heard from students, and I cannot wait to see the impact that they have on the day-to-day experience of our students and our teachers.
And moving right along to our third main topic that was discussed as a part of this board meeting, there were, under this header of operational effectiveness, there were several items that our board members heard from members of the executive cabinet team. But two items in particular did consume a bit of their attention, and one of those was around a policy DJE, which is always instrumental in the operation of our school district as it pertains to purchasing, but also the opportunity to hear some of the updates around the funding sources from the federal government that has really helped our school districts and school districts all across the nation prop up their revenues as they navigate this pandemic season.
Yeah, that's right. Here's what matters here. Our Board of Education recently amended their policy, DJE, which is the purchasing policy. And that amendment really just is an investment in continuing to advance our purchasing and solicitation practices. So this was an opportunity for an update on the progress towards that amended policy. And the Board of Education continues to have great discussion around how to be an organization continuing to advance and continuously improving our financial practices. And really that policy conversation did also lead to great conversation around this unprecedented and historic moment in which federal funding sources are being directed to local school districts in order to respond to the COVID implications of learning. And in order to continue to be very transparent and very committed to our public around how these funds are designated, there was a board report to provide that discussion specific to students with disabilities. Our website is really a complete package of each of the funding streams that have been designed by our federal revenue sources and the local decision-making strategies that are coupled with them. I'd invite you to visit our website and learn more about the ARPA funds and the ESSER funds that have been designated by the federal government to support COVID response in schools. And really, that wrapped up our study session. And after a great meeting of the Board of Education, we had some items that required action.
Most definitely, and that falls under our business items, which are then, there's action taken on these items during our business meeting later that evening. One of those items that we did get the opportunity to talk about was the legislative priorities. Our board heard publicly their legislative priorities that they will be sharing in an upcoming meeting with members of the Henry County delegation to the state capitol. It's very important, that partnership that we have between our board and our delegates, because our delegates do a tremendous job representing not only Henry County schools, but public education in general all across the state, in making notable legislative efforts to really support the work of teachers, the success of students, and making sure that local control remains central to what it is that they're able to do, and of course the all-important funding to do all of that. So they were able to hear the legislative priorities, take a look at those before they will then be sent off to our legislators, but we also were able to discuss the purchase of some new buses, more investment in the transportation sources for our students, 25 new buses in total, but that's a part of the East Plus 6 effort that you all, our voters, supported earlier this year, and so we're so appreciative of that. And one of the other items that we were able to hear about was the topic of an agreement with MAP testing to make sure that we're staying on top of the achievement levels of our students and making sure that we know where they stand each and every year as we progress through the calendar year.
Yeah, the actual business item of a contract renewal with NWEA for our MAP assessment did create great discussion among our board about the role of assessment in our entire instructional practice. One of the things that we all agree that we're proud of is that we have believed in our responsibility for kids to continue to learn despite all of the strain and all of the uncertainty of these past seasons. And MAP has been a key tool to our teachers' instructional practice, and really specifically, it provides us that reading proficiency so that we can have that guarantee to our families that we believe children should be reading at or above grade level, and that when they aren't, we have a plan in order to accelerate that reading growth. And so we had some conversation about the use of the instrument. Ultimately, it was really a opportunity for the board to take action on the contract renewal, and yet anytime we have a chance to talk about kids learning and how we provide that guarantee to our public that we are certain that they do is really a good opportunity for us. And I think that really rounded out the items that our board had to take action on, and it gives us a chance to also reflect on how the business of the board always starts with kids in mind. Let's take a look at our inspiration.
It's always great to hear those inspirational sounds, the many talents of our students, and of course the teachers and the administrators who are responsible for their guidance and their leadership at each and every one of their schools. But we also get the opportunity to celebrate the many accomplishments and talents of our students and our staff members as a part of our awards and recognition. We first started off by recognizing 3 of our students who won their division for our local school bus safety poster contest. We also recognized 2 members of the Woodland Middle School school community, Miss Michelle Wilkerson, the new principal there, as well as Miss Erin Bundridge, for recognitions that were granted to them or given to them by the Georgia School Counselor Association. Big awards and a big congratulation goes out to them. We also had Brooks Grimwood Moss, who was the recipient of a National Beta Club Award for math during their summer conference this year, so congratulations to Brooks. We also were able to recognize several students as a part of the Henry County Water Authority's annual poster contest. The theme this year was Imagine a Day Without Water, and we had students that earned awards from the K through 2 division, 3rd through 5th grade division, 6th through 8th, and then 9th through 12th, that high school division. And then we also had a student take home the People's Choice Award. So congratulations to each and every one of those students. And lastly, we were able to call special attention once again to the outstanding accomplishments of 3 of our teachers, 2 who earned finalist status at our most recent Henry County Schools Teacher of the Year ceremony. That'd be Miss Vicki Gonzalez from Woodland Elementary, as well as Miss Quinonia Kierce from Luella High School. And we also recognize our Teacher of the Year, Jennifer Brown from Hampton Middle School.
It really was amazing, and of course we had the opportunity to present Ms. Brown a frame of her article that was in the Henry Herald following the Teacher of the Year announcement, and really it's because teachers, they should really always be in the headlines. And so we look forward to celebrating you all year, and really as a reflection of all the extraordinary teachers in our Henry County school system.
And you can see the full version of the Teacher of the Year ceremony if you'd like to see all that excitement by checking out one of our videos on our Henry County Schools YouTube channel. A lot of great content on there in addition to that. But moving right along from there, it was that time once again to be able to welcome or announce changes or additions to leadership in our district, and I think we had a very special one this month.
We sure did, and really it's following the recent announcement of Don Siegler, our Executive Director of Facilities and Maintenance, has announced his retirement effective later this year in December. And of course, we celebrate Don's incredible impact in our organization, and he will be absolutely missed. And at the same time, the announcement of Valerie Sue Smith, our long-standing Chief HR Officer, has announced her retirement at the end of this school year, and that actually was coupled with the appointment of Dr. Carl Knowlton to be her successor as the new Chief Human Resources Officer. He is currently the Chief of Staff, and this transition will take effect as we turn the calendar pages into the new year. It was a great meeting. We love celebrating our team and always expect immediate impact. And more importantly, we're so thankful for you as a part of our community for tuning in and being connected to the great work of schools in our community. I'll toss it back to you.
No doubt about it. As I echo Superintendent Davis's comments, we cannot do this show without you. So thank you for tuning in, our committed audience, and we hope that you found this time informative as we move into the last month, one more month to go in this calendar year before we turn the calendar to 2022. But with that being said, thanks for tuning in. As we leave you, please enjoy more sights and sounds from this month's inspiration provided by the band at Hampton Middle School. We'll see you next time. While this is just a monthly recap of the Board of Education meetings, you can find the full-length version by visiting our website or clicking on the links in the description section below.